According to the Guttmacher Institute, nearly 45%, or 2.8 million of the 6.1 million pregnancies in the United States each year were unintended. These unintended pregnancies cause women to seek help from outside sources. Therefore, my purpose today is to persuade my audience that they should become volunteers at the Pregnancy Help Center. I have credibility to speak on this topic because I have done lots of research on this organization, and I have assessed the positive contribution that they bring to our community and the communities in our nation. I will begin by discussing with you the needs that this organization helps meet. I will offer a solution that will help combat these needs being introduced, and lastly, I will inform you of what will happen if we fail to volunteer. First, I'm going to discuss one of the many needs that this organization helps meet. The first need is that there is a lack of family and emotional support for these young parents. Early pregnancies cause young mothers and fathers to need emotional support, along with someone to teach them life skills that they might not otherwise have access to. According to a study done by the International Journal of Women's Health, the most pressing problem of adolescent pregnancies in sub-Saharan African countries were lack of support from individuals and institutions, including educational, social, cultural, and financial problems. Even though this study was done in the sub-Saharan African countries, the same can be said for adolescent pregnancies in our own community. Another study done by the BMC Journal of Pregnancy and Childbirth found that the lack of inclusion of fathers from antenatal education and the inadequate preparation remains a concern to both women and their partners. These studies highlight one of the many needs that young or new parents have. That need being education of what being a parent means and how to prepare themselves and their environment for that. This leads me to the second need that I will talk about. A lot of times, lack of knowledge about how to be a parent or how to provide for the child leads young women to backing out of their situation by means of abortion. And other times, the baby is lost by miscarriage due to less than stellar prenatal care. It is rare that these circumstances come without emotional pain of the mother and or father. During these times, these adults need emotional support and counseling to work through these issues. According to the American Psychological Association, new research suggests that some women mourn their miscarriages for much longer than expected, even after the birth of a healthy child. That's also true for men, as new studies have found that men grieve over a miscarriage more than once thought. This article also states that according to the University of Rochester Medical Center psychiatry professor Dr. Emma Robertson Blackmore, a woman who has a miscarriage is at risk for depression and anxiety symptoms in subsequent years. Even after having a healthy child, women who miscarry have a higher risk of postpartum depression. Also, according to a study of the psychological consequences of abortion among the post-abortion care-seeking women in Tehran, done by the Iranian Journal of Psychiatry, the results revealed that at least 1/3 of the respondents have experienced psychological side effects. They found that depression, worrying about not being able to conceive again, and abnormal eating behaviors were reported as dominant psychological consequences of abortion among the respondents. This leads me to my last need that I will talk about. Adolescent parents are more likely to have economic issues in their lives due to the lack of schooling and lack of job opportunities available to them. These economic issues cause parents to not have access to important materials and resources that they need, such as maternity and baby clothing, strollers, baby beds, and prenatal vitamins. According to Livestrong.com, lack of schooling makes it more difficult for teen mothers to find and keep well-paying jobs. They also found that according to the March of Dimes, more than 75% of unmarried teen mothers go on welfare within 5 years of having their first baby. Also, according to research done by author Sandra L. Hofarth, 70% of the impact of early birth on own earnings of those whose first child is born before the age of 18 operates through reduced schooling. Basically, what this statistic is saying is that a person's earnings are affected by their schooling. And when a person has had a baby or has had a child as an adolescent, their schooling is more than likely been reduced, and that in turn has affected their economic standing in a negative way. Because these young parents have not had the opportunity to finish or further their education, they do not have as much of the economic resources that they need to take care of their child or themselves. So how does the Pregnancy Help Center help meet these needs? If the care that these unexpected pregnancies and unprepared parents need is to be given successfully, then places like the Pregnancy Help Center are essential. The Pregnancy Help Center offers many services that help meet each of these needs. Specifically, the Concho Valley branch of the Pregnancy Help Center provides services such as prenatal, parenting, life skills, and men's classes. They also provide post-loss healing and counseling for those going through post-adoption, post-abortion, and post-miscarriage loss. And they also provide baby and maternity clothing and resources such as prenatal vitamins, along with many other services at their clinics. The services provided at the Pregnancy Help Center help meet the needs of these people by preparing young or new parents with information and guidance on how to navigate the life ahead of them. They also satisfy the needs of parents going through loss and providing counseling and healing. And finally, they provide resources to these young families that they would not otherwise have access to. However, the Pregnancy Help Center is a nonprofit organization, and they receive all of their materials and help from volunteers and donors, and they would not be able to provide these services without them. If you're wondering how you can become a volunteer, you can become a volunteer by taking the following steps. Find a location near you. The main location of the Pregnancy Help Center of the Concho Valley is at 2525 Sherwood Way, San Angelo, Texas at 76901. You can either ask in person or you can call to see what steps you need to take to become a volunteer. Volunteering may require you to take specific certain steps. This is to ensure that you are capable of preparing care for the families that come into the Pregnancy Help Center. However, there are other small ways that you can help support the Pregnancy Help Center. These include answering phone calls, and other things like that. The center also welcomes support in the form of donations. If you will turn your attention to my PowerPoint slides, I will show you a visualization of what I've been talking about. Okay. If we do not begin to offer help to men and women who find themselves in unexpected pregnancies, lack of emotional support, lack of knowledge, and lack of resources that accompany these pregnancies will continue to plague the families of our community. Today I have talked to you about why places like the Pregnancy Help Center is important to our community. I have also discussed with you how volunteering will help solve the needs of our community. And lastly, I shared with you how not volunteering can possibly hurt the new families because they do not have the support that the Pregnancy Help Center offers. But more importantly, I've informed you of how volunteering with this organization will help the new families in our community to give them a better future. Hopefully, I've persuaded you to become a volunteer for the Pregnancy Help Center. You can do your part by calling 325-944-1515 and signing up to volunteer with your local center today. Thank you.